Hi, I'm Louise Grant, and thanks for joining us for our ongoing video series interviewing Angelique Moselle Robbins, who is the international channel for the non-physical angelic realm of higher consciousness named Gashikta. Good to see you again.
Good to see you too.
You just got back from a trip that Gashikta led you on to the Pacific Northwest because they talked to you about the need for humanity to be closer to nature.
Mm-hmm.
So how was that?
It was exquisite. We went to Washington and the peninsula and visited. We drove from Bainbridge Island all the way down into Forks and the Hoh Forest, and saw Port Angeles, Port Townsend, Sequim. It was beautiful. You know, there's Hurricane Ridge, which is the mountains. There's Forks, which is real close to the Hoh Forest, which is a very ancient forest. It's 1 million acres of rainforest, in fact. And there's beaches everywhere. It is nature everywhere, and it's quite stunning.
And they talk a lot about the need for humanity to be more connected to nature, don't they? Especially those of us who are living in these large urban cities, and often we feel just disconnected in our life on a day-to-day basis, just the stresses of normal life with career and family and our health. And can you talk about some of their message to you about why nature is such an important part of us being able to live more fully integrated as a soul being?
Yeah. Well, they say that nature is our mother and that we've cut ourselves off from her. That's their quote. And that it's unwise to not use the power of nature to enhance our lives and enhance our health and our energy. And they say that nature not only supports you physically, but supports you emotionally. So when you are out in the middle of nature, your emotional issues aren't as overwhelming. You have assistance in transforming emotions and just being able to handle pain in general.
And how would someone do that if they're not used to calling upon nature to help them release pain or stress?
You mean like if they're sitting in their room or something?
Yeah, or let's say they've gone to the park. Is it just a matter of finding the quiet there and feeling into the earth itself, or what are a couple of practices that they've helped you understand for how do we slow ourselves down enough to get into nature, and how do we really connect into nature?
Well, what I've found is that to really connect into nature, you really have to be surrounded by it, you know. So a park it's still our general creation. It's like an extension of a city, you know.
It's true.
So it's not really getting that feeling, because the point, what they're speaking of, is where you as a human are experiencing the awe of nature, to where you're in the midst of nature and you can feel your insignificance, you know, not in an insulting way, just in a realistic way, you know, because we as humans become very self-absorbed, and it's even easier to become self-absorbed in city life. And it's harder to be self-absorbed when you're surrounded by the grandeur of Earth, you know. So I have not always been in serious nature, you know. I've really spent a lot of time in the city, and I've tried connecting with nature by imagining the ecosystem, imagining what's going on in nature, what lives are in the trees, what are the trees' lives, what are the bugs' lives, what is all of this other life happening around me that doesn't know anything about my problems, and really just trying to immerse myself in that other functioning, kind of. So that's one way, is to just really practice moving your consciousness into just basically other things that are happening.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thought process. So if you can't be at the ocean or in the middle of a forest at a certain moment in time, if you can at least be somewhere in nature and, as you said, get really introspective about what's occurring right there where you are at that moment. Maybe you're sitting under a tree, or maybe you're hugging the tree to feel the energy of it, or sitting in the grass and feeling the essence of it right there. Is that a daily practice that they would advise for people?
Oh, sure. I've actually heard them advise people to at least go outside and have bare feet in the grass and just connect with, literal earth, not concrete.
I've heard them talk too about the being in the no shoes. That's an important element, isn't it? It's like they want you to get your hands in there and get your feet in there and be part of it.
Yeah. Well, they've said that, everything I said before, just regarding how we're supported by Earth, because our bodies belong to Earth. And to really be able to connect with that and allow what our bodies are a part of to aid us in our life, in our emotional processes, in our mental processes, and to just, connect more in the way that animals connect. Animals are not, well, unless they're pets, but animals in the wild are not disconnected from Earth at all. It's completely, they wouldn't even know what we're talking about if we tried to talk about a city life or something like that. And I think we just really need to practice getting into that mindset and feeling what's really going on this planet, because our cities are only a small part of what's going on this planet,
Yeah, that's true.
And the other thing that they've taught me to do is, while your feet are on the earth, and if you're comfortable, lie down on the earth, like let your whole body touch the earth. It's very healing. It's one of the most healing things you can do, in fact. But while you're doing that, feel Earth's energy move up through the bottoms of your feet, come all the way up into your head, and then release negative energy in your body, whatever problems you're having, whatever sadness or anger, release it back down into the earth, and then let Earth's energy come back up into you. It's very healing, because Earth is powerful, and our little problems really are nothing to this planet.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I would think most humans, most of us, know that Earth is alive, and we may say that we know that Earth has energy, but as a daily practice, we're not really focused on Earth being an energetic force that can aid us in our own well-being.
Right. Which is humorous, because if you really think about it, we're only alive because Earth supports us. Think about it. If we don't have the sun, we're all dead.
Right.
If we don't have whatever force this is of gravity that's magnetizing us to this planet, we're all dead. If we don't have the oxygen that's generated here by plants, we're all dead. If we don't have, sunlight, we're dead. I mean, it's like everything.
Absolutely. But we know at that subconscious level that it is helping us physically stay alive, but we don't often call upon nature
to assist.
as
Yeah,
you might call
we
upon
use
God.
nature. We
as
use it.
We use it, you're right. We consume it.
We're totally disrespectful of it, and we act like it's our servant or something. You know, but isn't that kind of the way humanity acts toward everything?
It's true. Right. So you think people call upon God, or they call upon angelic beings or spiritual guides to help them, but they don't call on Mother Earth.
Yeah.
And wouldn't it be
is there
something?
a big difference?
Right. Is there? I don't know either. But based on what Geschichte teaches us, Earth is such a powerful component. It's its own live, energetic component that we can call upon it to, as you said, to absorb our pain, our physical pain, our emotional pain, to help us heal.
Can heal our perspective consistently.
One thing, as I think about people who are large exercisers in nature, oftentimes people will say, well, I do get out in nature because that's when I do all of my running, you know, and I love to run in nature. And they have talked about how we often use exercise in ways that aren't as healthy for us, right? So if someone is deciding, well, the only time I really get out in nature is when I'm doing my 5 or 10 mile run, that they may be physically working their organs, but they're not necessarily spiritually, energetically helping their body.
Yeah, the Geschichte has said that, you know, we're in a time period right now where it's considered healthy to overrun, to run too much. And that essentially it's basically an extension of our busy minds, the whole running thing. And the reason it often feels good is because our emotions and our minds are so overloaded that we need that release, but that it's not necessarily generating more energy for our body. It's still somewhat depleting our bodies. I'm sure that running in nature helps that, but I also imagine that if running is the main goal, there's probably not a lot of presence with nature on that experience. Maybe there is. Probably depends on the person.
Yeah, it could. Same thing with biking or some of those types of things where you can feel like you're going out in nature, or you may even be walking with a friend, taking a little hike, but you're spending the entire time sort of in this brain area just really talking or chattering about life, and you're not really in the presence of nature.
Right.
And so how we can start shifting our thoughts to somehow incorporate our nature connection in a new way.
Yeah.
For most people.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Hope you enjoyed this conversation with Angelique Moselle Robbins, who is the international channel for the angelic realm, Geschichte, as we focused on how we incorporate the energy of Mother Nature, Mother Earth, into our own being to help us at a physical level, a spiritual level, and an emotional level. Join us next time. Thanks.
Thanks.